Hey everybody, welcome to the SkyLounge, and this is Sky High, episode number 22. Boys and girls, before we get into the meat and bulk of our episode here, discussing the NFL, everything that happened on Sunday, we do gotta talk about this. The World Series, set to start on Tuesday between the Washington Nationals and the Houston Astros. I'm living my fucking nightmare right now. Right? It feels like Super Bowl 53. As a Seahawks fan, watching the Patriots versus the Rams is one of the worst fucking things imaginable. Okay? This is what this feels like. And as a Dodgers fan, to be honest, I'm not emotionally invested in this shit at all. I'll probably lay down $20 to have the Astros win it in 6. That's just my thoughts. You know, all the national fans out there, all they want to do, just stomp on all the fucking graves. We finally did! Like, all right, dude. All right, relax. You just got to the World Series. All right, you got to actually win it. And it's going to be embarrassing if they win it, in all fairness. I'm not even lying about that shit. If the Nationals win the World Series, it's going to be a fucking embarrassment for the Dodgers. Right? It absolutely is going to be. Which at that point, I mean, yeah, that's where my confusion with the word Lakers comes in. If that happens, right, we still wear our LA hat and we just say, oh, we're ripping out the Lakers, right? We're ripping out the Lakers. And if they lose, well, by then it's the next season of baseball, so we could still get back on here. Which, I know, that's a terrible way to look at it. But honestly, man, if you've been a Dodgers and Lakers fan for 21 years like myself, this is your coping mechanism. Okay, this is exactly how you have to fucking deal with this shit. Otherwise, you will go insane. Okay, you will go insane. So, World Series start on Tuesday, and I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to watch Game 1. Just not. Because, first of all, my actual teams are playing. So, my Vegas Golden Knights will be playing an away game in Chicago. And the LA Lakers are going to be starting their season. Yes, the NBA is set to kick off on Tuesday. So yeah, I ain't got time for that World Series shit right now. And again, not emotionally invested. Hate both teams as a salty ass Dodgers fan. And I don't really give a shit. I quite frankly do not care how people perceive me as a Dodgers fan. I really don't. Really don't give a shit. Because that's what a real fan is. Being full of salt and animosity when you lose, and also tears because your team will always fail you. Guys, let's move on to some NFL action. Yeah! Okay, let's get started here, boys and girls. The LA Rams took on the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta, beating the Falcons 37-10 at home. I mean, come on, guys. The 37-10, 37-16, doesn't fucking matter. What actually matters about this game is the fact that Dan Quinn somehow still has a job. Matt Ryan got somehow injured in this game, and it looked like a little bit of an ankle injury, but people in the fucking medical staff over there are trying to be optimistic, thinking, oh, Matt Ryan's gonna be back, should be good. But to be honest, like, what the hell's the point of him coming back? This team is awful. Like, from the defensive side, it's like, there's no fucking point of anybody being here. And then today, on your offensive side, my God, boy, things got offensive. And not in that way, okay? Not in that way of actually gaining offense. It was offensive. Because Devontae Freeman of the Atlanta Falcons got manhandled by Aaron Donald. All right, I'm a fucking NFC West rival. I fucking hate the Rams, hate the 49ers, hate the goddamn Cardinals, who all won, by the way, today. Seahawks were the only fucking team that didn't fucking win today. But, yeah, Aaron Donald manhandled Devontae Freeman. And Freeman looks like a fucking child after that incident. It's kind of hilarious, but there you go. That's the optics of the situation right now. And Jesus Christ, you gotta feel for Freeman at one point, though. You gotta feel like, oh God, that's embarrassing. You got manhandled on television at home, no less. Which, I'm going to be at Atlanta next week, boys and girls. I'm going to be there watching the game between the Seattle Seahawks and the Atlanta Falcons. So hopefully the Seahawks can grab a win there. That would be nice. But the Rams got a very comfortable win in Atlanta today. Practically no squad to speak of for Atlanta. So a very easy win for the Rams. Now, the Miami Dolphins took on the Buffalo Bills in a relatively closer game than imaginable. 21-31 loss in Buffalo. And yeah, Buffalo looked a little bit limited at times moving forward on the offense. But man, on defense, they did what they needed to do. You do put Fitzpatrick in there. You do have a little bit of magical moments and all that shit. But the reality is, this is a tanking team. If you don't go 0-16, there is something really wrong here, right? The whole point of this roster build for the 49ers, not the fucking 49ers, Jesus Christ. Well, the 49ers, they're winning. Miami doing the kind of opposite, where the 49ers are going 6-0, the Miami Dolphins are going 0-6. They have perfected this tank. And so if you don't go 0-16, it's kind of a terrible thing for the Dolphins. Because you've engineered yourself for failure. And so if you don't fail properly, that's a fucking problem. Okay, do you follow my logic here? And again, Buffalo. More questions to be asked about what this offense can potentially do moving forward. What's it limited to? What is it going to cost in terms of heartbreak? Is it going to be a playoff loss to the Patriots? Which I could totally see happening. Because of the way this entire conference, the AFC, is turning out to be. Patrick Mahomes is injured right now. Not going to be back for about 6 weeks at least, in my opinion. I mean, based on the 4 to 6 week report, I would say 6 to 7 weeks. Houston's decent at times, but there's also times like today, which we'll talk about in a bit, where they don't look all that great. So who really is going to come out of that AFC besides the Patriots? I don't fucking know. I really don't know at this point. But Buffalo is making a stronger and stronger case, in my opinion. They absolutely are. You beat Miami in the edge of it kind of moment. But let's be honest, Miami should be failing. They should be 0-16. If they're not, they're failing. That's all I can say about that. Now, the Jacksonville Jaguars versus Cincinnati Bengals. And Jacksonville wins 27-17. Cincinnati with 3 fucking turnovers. Listen, defense both showed up in this game, but the reality is that both offenses were just all throughout. Yeah, Gardner Minshew finally got his groove back later in this game, but Cincinnati is just a dead carcass being dragged around for 17 straight fucking weeks. That's what this team feels like. That's what the Cincinnati Bengals feel like every fucking time they step on the field. And yeah, they gave Seahawks a major problem in week 1. I admit to that. I'm not going to fucking shy away from that shit. But also the reality right now is the Seahawks are 5-2, whereas the Bengals are 0-6 or 0, I don't fucking know, 0-7? Are they 0-7 now? Jesus Christ. You wonder why I talk so much shit. Because there's so much shit around. So you gotta talk shit. You do. Like the fucking Lions. They lose at home 42-30 against the Vikings. And I know, Lions fans, I know what you want to say. Oh, the referees fucked us all. They're cheating. Oh. Stafford isn't all that great. I've been saying this for years, and I get shit for it because people just get super sensitive about Matt Stafford. Matt freaking Stafford. Matt, so goddamn readable from a retard standpoint, Matt Stafford. I barely know football, but I can read the fucking mindset of Matt Stafford. Oh, an interception late in the fourth quarter? Oh, Matt Stafford. And listen, I'm not trying to besmirch the human being, okay? I understand that him, his family, his wife had to go through this horrible ordeal with cancer, and I have tremendous amount of respect for them as human beings to go over and get, go beyond that and, get over such a terrible thing and, find themselves as human beings. I mean, in this crazy, crazy world. But as an athlete, as a quarterback in that position, I'm criticizing the predictability and, in all honesty, lack of accountability that this team continues to exhibit year after year, where you see Matt Stafford literally in the dying minutes of a winnable game fucking up really bad. This happens almost all the fucking time. And listen, credit to Marvin Jones. Is it Marvin Jones? That's right. 4 receiving touchdown as a receiver for the Detroit Lions. Poor bastard. Still got fucked over in the win column there. Detroit just fucking shoots themselves in the foot and then asks, who shot my foot? It's that Eric Andre meme. That's exactly what the Detroit Lions are. Shoot themselves. Who shot me? What the fuck? As for the Vikings, there's really not a lot of positives in this, in my opinion. Yeah, you beat a Detroit team who is laughable at best. I love all the weapons in Vikings territory in Minnesota. I still question Kirk long-term. I really do. He's been having 3 straight great games, which, again, kudos. But, man, can you get to the playoffs? Can you win in the playoffs? Because you're going to get compared. I'm not going to be the only fucking idiot saying that shit. The question is going to be, can you actually win a playoff game? Can you win more than Case Keenum? Yeah, that question is going to get asked. Can he win more games in the playoffs than Case freaking Keenum? It's those kinds of curious questions that tickle your brain a lot. They do. And what also tickles the brain are palindromes, right? Shit that works front and back, and lettering and words. But in scoring too, boys and girls, 2-4-4-2. That's the scoreline between the Oakland Raiders and the Green Bay Packers. 24-42. Aaron Rodgers threw for 5 touchdowns, a 1 rushing touchdown. I don't know why I said it like that. But for 6 total touchdowns, a fucking perfect QBR, essentially. Aaron Rodgers just had a fucking field day with the Raiders. Now, here's the thing. People are going to get overly excited and hyped up with Aaron Rodgers. Of course they are. Because this guy is from Lambeau. He plays in Lambeau Field. Title Town, they call it, right? Kind of like Dust Bowl Town, the way it's been. But people want to gravitate towards Aaron Rodgers. Somehow people love that guy. And yeah, this is going to raise national media attention again. And in my eyes, it's the fucking Raiders. Like, what the fuck are you patting yourselves on the back for? It's the fucking Raiders. Like, they're basically rebuilding at this point. You know those few wins they had? I call them like the hiccup wins. They're not really all that great. Sorry, Raiders. Like, you got a running game, yeah, but in terms of defense, maybe. Not really sure about that. But Green Bay gets the win in a palindrome. 2-4-4-2. Very strange times. Very strange times indeed on this Sunday. As was the game between the Houston Texans and the Indianapolis Colts. Thank God your boy took Indianapolis on -1 in a 3-team parlay. Because Indianapolis beat the fuck out of the Houston Texans 23-30. Now, the scoreline suggests a little bit of a closer race between these two teams. But honestly, the game was essentially this. Houston would somehow claw their way, and Indianapolis would float up 2 steps forward, looking at Houston like, dude, we figured you out like 2 steps ago. It's like those fucking drama or anime shows where like the antagonist is like flat out a genius. Like, dude, I planned for this. Like, since your birth, son. Boom! Like, oh shit. You knew all along? And it's really thanks to the efforts of Frank Reich. I mean, listen, guys. When you have a solid defensive effort from both teams, and when you have, no disrespect to Jacoby Brissett, when you have an average quarterback that you can carry through to potentially having a winning season, when a transcendent quarterback that just retired from your franchise leaves and puts you in this kind of desert to fail, you only succeed in the oasis. It's crazy. I'm telling you, Colts is led by a genius. His name is Frank Reich. And if he gets a proper quarterback, the league is screwed. That's all I'm saying. If the fucking Colts figure out a way to keep this core essentially intact, and then bring in a rookie quarterback that is going to be, let's say, at least in the levels of how Dak Prescott year one can affect the franchise. At least in that level, if they can do that, my God, this Colts team is dangerous. And as for the Texans, injuries left and right. Deshaun is probably still going to run for his life. And Houston still looks like a middling team, despite how they should have easily, been on top of this division. But hiccup games left and right for them too. It derails what could have been, and sets them for what is, which is getting bitch slapped in Indianapolis by the Colts. And this is crazy, boys and girls. There's a lot of upsets here today. Lots of teams that, from an away standpoint, beat the shit out of the home teams. And this was the case for Arizona. Arizona grabs another win, 27-21 on the road against the Giants. And honestly, Arizona's offense is pretty decent. Can't say really anything too negative about it. And as for the Giants, they brought themselves up to, in the fourth quarter, to give a sliver of a chance. But back-to-back turnovers and potential game-winning drives, it was just a backbreaker. It was just an absolute backbreaker for the Giants. And I thought Daniel Jones did pretty well under the circumstances. And yeah, Arizona's not a great team. They're not. But you know what? That defense isn't too bad. That offense could be pretty stellar at times. And so for the Giants, this is another tough lesson. This is another tough lesson for them this year, where, you're moving on from Eli. You're adding a bunch of new core weapons and a lot of new things that are going to put your new identity forward as the New York Football Giants. But this was not a good game for them, unfortunately. So they take the L in that. And the Cardinals grab a win, along with another NFC West team. So 3 NFC West teams grab a win today, except the fucking Seahawks, which we'll talk about in a bit here. The 49ers took on the Washington Redskins in Washington and won 9-0. Now, this is a funny story. I said a 2-team parlay. 49ers at -9 and under 44. Obviously, the under hit. -9.5. That legitimately pissed me off. -9.5. Nothing at halftime. This was just an absolute defensive battle from the 49ers, and this defense is legit. This defense is absolutely legitimate. I mean, obviously, the Redskins' offense isn't nothing. They're not really anything to boast about at all. However, going on the road, suppressing a team down to nothing at home, and then, despite your terrible off day on offense, you still get 3 field goals to get the win. That's something really special. I gotta admit, I hate the 49ers. I do. I'm not gonna fucking hide that shit, boys and girls. I'm not. But, hell, they're undefeated. So, it's a bummer. Because your Seattle Seahawks lose 30-16 at home against Baltimore. We made the review video already, boys and girls, but essentially that game, all I can say is I'm not holding any animosity towards Baltimore because they played exceptionally well today. Lamar Jackson, heroic, incredible, all the words you can say, despite the fact that, he's not a great thrower. I'm not gonna fucking censor that shit. Now I'm saying there are people who get sensitive about the fact that, like, yeah, Lamar can't throw 45% on the day and no fucking touchdown throw. Obviously no interception, good for him, but his passing is not his A game. And that's kind of a fact. If you look at all the numbers and all the eye tests, everything that shows you, he exhibits on the field. But I gotta admit, as a guy who can run and who can manage the game, he did spectacular today. And he destroyed the Seahawks. And the Seahawks also destroyed themselves. A fucking pick six by Marcus Peters, and then a fucking fumble with 3 minutes to go in the fourth quarter by DK Metcalf, a terrible fumble at that. Destroyed the Seahawks' hopes to win or even bring this game close. And it's unfortunate. And again, the Seahawks are the only team this week in the NFC West to have lost. That's fucking crazy. Like, your NFC West teams are stacked. I gotta tell you right now, as a Seahawks fan, this is kind of exciting but scary because there's actual competition in this division now. For a couple of years, it was, all right, the Seahawks are gonna just easily win this, or it was a fucking throat-to-throat, neck-and-neck battle between the 49ers and the Seahawks. But right now, every team is competitive. Credit to the Cardinals, because the Cardinals are actually surprising me the most. Kyler Murray doing a fantastic job over there with Cliff Kingsbury. And so it's a frustrating loss for the Seahawks, but we're going to be in Atlanta next week. We're going to be watching the Seahawks in Atlanta as an away fan. Going to be wearing my Russell Wilson jersey. I am very excited. I'm absolutely ecstatic. So going to be recording, vlogging over there, so be on the lookout for that. Going to be uploading that in Atlanta. Should be good. But boys and girls, what wasn't so good was the Chargers versus Tennessee Titans in Tennessee. 20-23. A late fumble in the game that could have easily won the Chargers their game. Cost them in a Melvin Gordon fumble to lose the game 20-23. And honestly, this game was so fucking boring. It was two mediocre-ass teams trying to battle it out. And there's really no hopes for either teams. This is two mediocre teams disguised as being competitive, but inevitably, they are so lackluster in their own division and in their own style of football that they're not going to get anywhere close to the fucking playoffs. Not even close. I would argue these two teams are the second best or third best in their respective divisions. Or, in all honesty, the worst teams in their respective divisions. Jesus fucking Christ. The Titans are just a fucking joke. Like, anytime I watch the Titans, I just think, what purpose is your team? Like, what? Why does your team exist? That's right, Steve McNair, because he's a fucking legend. But this team, oh my god. If you are on antidepressants and you watched a full fucking game of a Tennessee Titans game, you would just be depressed. Jesus fucking Christ. That was just terrible. Just a terrible game all around. Just like this next one for Chicago. 36-25 loss at home against the New Orleans Saints. Which I have said, I knew the Saints were going to win this game. Because if you're going to start Mitchell Trubisky, you knew you were going to lose. The Chicago fans are turning. They are turning on Trubisky. It's crazy. It is going full on mutiny. And yeah, Cordell Patterson might have had the 102 punt yard return, but none of that shit mattered. None of it fucking mattered because you took that loss lying down in that second half. It was terrible. Like I said, the Saints, in my eyes, are the best team in the NFC, bar none. And they don't even have Drew Brees. That's the terrifying part about the Saints right now. They don't even have Drew Brees, and they're this good. They didn't have Alvin Kamara this week, and they were this good away against the Bears. Okay? They put up 35 points against the Bears. Now, maybe not all that's on offense, But still, you go away to a very difficult team and you score 35 points. Damn. 36 points? Shit. I'm already missing that 1 point. And sometimes you miss the point, boys and girls. Is it the weed? Maybe. Maybe it is. But the point Chicago is missing is essentially the fact that, yeah, their quarterback isn't the answer. Sorry. You traded up to get Mitchell Trubisky in a draft with Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. Let that sink in. Let that really sink in. You could have just drafted Christian McCaffrey, too. Just saying. I'm just saying, man. The Bears are a fucking disaster. Kind of fun to watch, really. Because you knew the talk. You knew the talk. Oh, man, we're going to win the Super Bowl. It's going to be great. Well, it looks like that division is a two-horse race right now. The Vikings and the Packers. And I got to admit, the Vikings are on a good trajectory right now. And obviously, the one-loss Packers, I mean, they keep going with the Rodgers that look revitalized today against a shit-ass Raiders team. Then you got the Bears, who, quite frankly, don't even look better than the Lions. Who, yeah, again, the Lions lost 42 to 30 today, but the Bears look worse somehow. I don't know why, but they look worse. So, there you go, folks. Kind of a depressing way to look at it, but no other way. Because when the Cowboys win, as the saying goes, America loses. Now, I admit, I'm not a buyer of that quote. I'm not a hugely anti-fan. I'm not a huge anti-fan of the Dallas Cowboys, meaning I don't hate them that much. Although I question a lot of their decisions. I do. I question Jerry Jones. I question Jason Garrett. I question whether or not, like, Jerry Jones is, senile, because I'm pretty sure he's going to pay Dak $35 million, because that's just the way Jerry works. But what you can't question today is how well Dallas played. Wow. They beat the fuck out of the Philadelphia Eagles today. 37 to 10. The Dallas Cowboys beat the Philadelphia Eagles 37 to 10. They led 27 to 7 at halftime. Philly, I don't know what the fuck is going on. So many turnovers, and the secondary looks like a disaster. I mean, the Cowboys completely teabagged the fucking Eagles. And you know what? I'm kind of glad in the pick'ems I picked the fucking Cowboys. Because, my God, this game wasn't even a game. You can't consider this a game. This was a slaughter. I mean, the fucking Eagles looked god-awful. There might be more optimism with the Giants right now than the fucking Eagles. And the complaint right now from the Eagles fans is, why didn't we get Jalen Ramsey? Why didn't we get Jalen Ramsey? Well, if you got Jalen Ramsey, first of all, you're going to be trading a shit ton of assets for a potential rent. And then you're going to insert a cancer into an already kind of explosive-looking locker room. I think that's a good move not to trade for him. But something has to be done about this Philadelphia team because, quite frankly, they are playing like shit. They're playing like dog shit. Dallas now leads, has won the tiebreaker against the Philadelphia Eagles, and now Dallas leads the NFC East. Still think whoever's 9-7, 10-6 will actually win that division, but divisions like that right now are very curious. They're very fun to watch because you just never know how things are going to work out. And honestly, there's a part of me that thinks we could still have a couple of surprises in certain divisions. Definitely thinking in the AFC South, the Colts might just pull one over everybody and win that division. Surprise win. maybe a wild card berth. That'd be crazy, but something like that could happen. The Raiders, if they have a very winnable schedule in the latter half of this regular season, I think they can absolutely get into playoffs. But again, the NFL dynamics is fun. We just never know what's going to happen week to week. Any given Sunday, any team could win. So it was fun. It was fun to watch all these games. With my crazy janky ass setup that I got going on, I had like 8 different screens, including the television, to watch every fucking game. But totally worth it, boys and girls. Totally freaking worth it. And me combobulating my words and fucking it up pretty much means we should go ahead and end this video. But boys and girls, appreciate you guys joining me. Thank you so much for tuning in. So follow me, the Sky Lounge, and all the links in the description below. Like, comment, subscribe for more daily contents from your boy, Doughboy. Fuck off.